So I need to change a tire on my daughter's car. It's a 225 55 17, and I was not looking forward to this. That little bitty sidewall I thought was going to give us trouble, and it most certainly did. So I'm using my bead breaking hammer for big truck tires and a sledgehammer to break this loose. This aluminum wheel, and sometimes they get corroded in there. Makes it very difficult sometimes to get them loose. So I got the front side bead broke loose. Now I need to do the back side, and I use dish soap when I'm taking a tire off that's junk. If we're not going to reuse it, just try to save a few bucks rather than using the expensive soap for, junk tires. This one I couldn't really get the bead to come loose, so I had my wife hold the hammer while I smacked it with a bigger hammer, and eventually we got it, but it wasn't easy, that's for sure. Now the way this needs to come off is whichever side the drop center is closest to, that's the way the tire comes off. So in our situation, the drop center is closest to the outside of the wheel. So what we have to do is get the bead on the opposite side of where we're working down on the drop center so it shifts the tire over so we can pry it up over the lip. I'm using small tire spoons here because I'm trying to not make any scratches on our wheels, and I was afraid the ones I typically use would scratch them up. That was a mistake. I should have just stuck with the ones I normally use, because this was just, I'm familiar with the other ones, so I think it would have went smoother. But anyways, I fought this bead because again, corrosion. It's an aluminum wheel with a rubber tire. The front outside bead doesn't come off too bad, but the inside one I struggled with, and I didn't want to scratch her wheel all up, so I just took the big tire iron we use, and I got it behind that tire into the face of that wheel, and was real careful. And instead of prying it off, I just stood on it, and I had my wife take a hammer and just tap the back side of the wheel at the bead, and that just makes it a little easier to come off. As you can see, it came off pretty good. Breaking the beads loose was the hardest part. So you see that black around the wheel, around the bead, that's a bead sealer, and we have to clean all that off now. So I'm going to use a wire wheel. Now I'm using a steel wire wheel. It'd be better if you use something else that, wasn't going to cause galvanic or whatever. It's dissimilar metals, but I don't think it matters for this. It is what it is. It's better than not doing it, and I need it to be clean so I can put this bead sealer on it, and I'm going to show you here what I like to use. And this stuff goes on shiny, and then it'll dry kind of a flat finish, and then it's ready to put on. I put quite a bit on here because it's got some corrosion, heavier in some places, not as much in others, but definitely worth it to me to put this on. Because a lot of times in aluminum wheels, if you get one that leaks down a lot, chances are it may be leaking at the bead where the pits are in the aluminum, and the rubber of the tire can't fill those voids. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So now we got our new tire, and I'm going to use the Murphy's tire soap, and I'm pretty liberal with it. And you see I do the inside of that bead too, because a lot of times that's the part we get stuck on, is the inside of the bead when you go to put the second bead on. The first one, you can get that on usually pretty easy. I'm looking for the red dot here. There's a red circle on a tire, and that tells you what the lightest point of the tire is. So the lightest point of the tire I want to be right where the valve stem seal is. The valve stem, because this has a valve stem and a tire pressure sensor on the back of it, so it's added weight. So by taking the lightest part of the tire and putting it right there, we're trying to offset and make our balance come out as good as we can. So again, the bottom went on pretty easy. The top, yeah, we just struggled. We couldn't keep it in that drop center. I tried to work it around really gentle, and we started 180 degrees away from the valve stem, so that we weren't up against it with the tire bead the whole time we're doing this, because it could break it very easily. So we started on the other side. So the last bit of prying we do will be on either side of that tire pressure sensor. But you see here, we just struggle trying to keep that sidewall down in that drop center. And it's not a very big drop center to begin with. Like big truck tires, even 19.5s, they've got a, even 17s, they've got a nice drop center. This thing had very little. I'm sure it's, you know, proportionate to the actual tire size it is, but anyways, we just keep pushing it down and working our way around. I don't want to stretch the tire. If you don't get this down in here and you try and force it, you'll hear this cracking, and it's basically damaging the tire. So it's very important we take our time, we do this. I'm still not convinced that I should buy a tire machine, because I don't think I've done probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 car tires in a year, and to me that just doesn't justify the cost of a good machine. Good machines aren't cheap, and cheap machines aren't good, so I'd rather do it by hand than have a cheap machine that doesn't work well. So I'm still struggling. I have my wife grab that the bigger tire iron. She's gonna go on the other side and push down on the bead to get it in the drop center. And by doing that, she's going to hold pressure so it can't come out of that drop center. The sidewalls and the tread of this tire is, well, it was outside in the cold too. The tire distributor that we ordered it from dropped it off, and it was left outside. So I brought it in and thought we warmed it up, but we could have probably waited an hour or two, and it'd been maybe a little bit easier. But we're almost there, little by little. Now we're getting close to the valve stem here, so we're going to be very, very careful. I've set my wife over to a little bit closer to the drop center, get more of it down in there. I think we're just about there. So after all this work, it was definitely not worth it to save the few bucks. Now we did save a good amount of money on the tire, because I bought it through a tire wholesaler that we deal with. So I paid $40 less than the tire suppliers and what they wanted for it, plus mounting and balancing and tire disposal, which they actually wanted another $38 to do that. So I'm putting air to it, and both the beads seated like within 5 or 6 pounds. It seated very well. I seat them with the needle out of the tire valve, and now I'm going to put it back in, and then we'll fill it up with air. I put in the air pressure to what the car manufacturer wants. If a tire says 40 pounds, but the car manufacturer says 35, well, I'm going 35. That's just the way we do it. But all in all, it's not a problem. It worked out. Took us, I don't know, probably 40 minutes or 30 minutes to do all this by the time it was all said and done. But it is what it is. Just one tire. All the others looked just fine. I don't know why this one tire had a problem. I thought maybe it was run low, but there was no debris inside, no damage to the interior of the sidewall or anything. But now I'm just going to clean it all up since we got it off, you know, get any brake dust off it and all the extra soap. And sometimes that black bead sealer will get on some stuff, but yeah, just get it all cleaned up and get it ready to go. But I think that's going to work. So I need to go get this balanced, and maybe you can see here, there's a pile of weights right here. So we got to get all those off. And I'll take it and get, oh, you can't see that. You can't see it. There's a pile of weights right here. So we'll take all them off so they don't try and balance it with those still on there. So I take a razor knife and get underneath the edge of it and break the seal loose. And it allows me to get the screwdriver up underneath them a little easier. Bunch of adhesive still on there. We're about done with this car. This is my daughter's Impala. She's been saving to buy a new car. I think she's just about there. There we go. Get rid of this crap. Okay, let's go get it balanced. You know, for years people have been telling me that I need to get a tire mount and balance machine. And I never have because, you know, a good one is just far too expensive. And I just don't use it enough to justify the cost for something to just sit here. I could put that money into something else that I could use more often. Like, I don't know, a plasma table. That would be nice. There's some other things I'd like to have. But tire mounting machine, a tire balancing machine just isn't high on my priority list. But let's get it loaded up, get it balanced, and get it back on. So you can see this tire had lots of tread left on it, but the problem was the sidewall was just letting go, man. It just, for whatever reason, it's only this one tire, and it's all the way around it. It's just terrible. And a couple guys asked in the post on the Facebook group, you know, what was the DOT date on this? And this tire's not that old. 2018. But regardless, that's why we replaced it. It was quick. I got it balanced real quick. I got it back on, and she's ready to go. She's looking for another car now. I think she's going to go to a Toyota because she's sick of the GMs, just GM cars, just like I am. They nickel and dime us to death on all the stupid crap that goes wrong constantly that require a fair amount of time to fix. Not necessarily a lot of money, but definitely takes some time. So she's looking for a Toyota, and I think she's settled on one, or at least one model for sure. So hopefully we won't be seeing this very much more. As far as I'm concerned, GM is the Harbor Freight of cars. I dislike them. I don't want anything to do with them. I'll be happy to see this thing leave. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed watching us change a tire. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.